The movie opens with Maharaja, a calm and kind-hearted man who works as a barber in a small neighborhood salon. He leads a simple life with his loving wife and young daughter Jyothi. However, his constant habit of taking frequent leaves often frustrates his boss. One day, while attending to a customer, Maharaja suddenly remembers something and he requests his boss for a short leave. Frustrated, his boss scolds him but eventually agrees reluctantly. Maharaja visits a toy shop across from his house to buy something special for Jyothi, joyfully picking out different toys to choose the best. But just as he's about to pay, tragedy strikes when a speeding truck loses control and crashes into his house, leaving him frozen as his world shatters before his eyes. 15 years after the tragedy, Maharaja's wife is gone, but Jyothi miraculously survived. Since then, he's been both mother and father to her. Their bond is unbreakable that he makes silly mistakes and she lovingly scolds him, but behind their playful moments lies deep love. For Maharaja, Jyothi is his entire world, and fulfilling her dreams is his only purpose. Jyothi studies in high school, where she excels in sports and works hard toward her dream of becoming a professional athlete. At school, she shares a special bond with her physical training teacher, Asifa, who adores her and supports her in every step of her journey. It's revealed that Jyothi survived the crash because of a dustbin that fell over and covered her completely. Since that day, the dustbin became like a family member. Jyothi lovingly named it Lakshmi, and they both cared for it devotedly, cleaning it and even performing small rituals to honor it. Meanwhile, Maharaja now runs his own salon. One day, he rushes to Jyothi's school after hearing she's been accused of spiking guests' drinks during an event. The furious principal insults both Jyothi and Maharaja, ignoring Maharaja's desperate pleas that his daughter would never do such a thing, and even threatens legal action against her. At that moment, Asifa arrives with the real culprit, a boy who admits he was the one behind it all. As the truth comes out, Maharaja expects the principal to apologize to his daughter for insulting her, but the principal bluntly refuses. In a sudden shift of behavior, Maharaja creates a scene and furiously insists that the principal apologize. Everyone in the room tries to calm him down, but he becomes uncontrollable. In the chaos, he nearly bends a steel pole, shocking everyone with his hidden strength and power. Jyothi kindly requests the principal to apologize, warning that her father never backs down when it comes to her. Terrified, the principal finally apologizes that does Maharaja cool down. They return home with their dignity intact. Days pass peacefully until Jyothi prepares to leave for a week-long school trip, reminding her father to manage the chores and take good care of Lakshmi while she's away. After finishing work, Maharaja returns home late at night that day. After some time, we see him lying unconscious on the floor and covered in blood. The state of the house makes it clear that something horrific has taken place. The next morning, the scene takes place at a car service center where a local gangster, Matthew, storms in and lashes out on a mechanic, furious for stealing his beloved sunglasses and use his car while it was in for service. The mechanic insists he knows nothing about it, and in that moment Donna enters, the mechanic who actually worked on the gangster's car, and instantly becomes the target of Matthew's anger. Beating him brutally, Matthew threatens to kill him if he doesn't return the sunglasses by that night. Donna left furious over the humiliation and entered a pub that night, where Matthew is drinking with some of his friends. Instead of returning the sunglasses, he snaps them in half in front of Matthew. In a sudden burst of rage, Donna launches at Matthew and his men, shocking the audience with his brute and unexpected strength. He beats them mercilessly until Matthew is left bruised and broken on the floor. The next morning, Maharaja goes to the police station to file a complaint. He explains in detail that 3 thieves broke into his house the previous night, attacked him while he changing and stole Lakshmi. The officers left puzzled, assuming Lakshmi is a person. When Maharaja clarifies that Lakshmi is actually a dustbin, his confusion turns into anger and start beating Maharaja for reporting a missing dustbin, but Maharaja refuses to back down, demanding that they have to find Lakshmi. In the chaos, the officer's uniform accidentally gets torn and everyone in the station rushes to throw Maharaja out. During the struggle, the wooden floor gives way, sending all stuffs crashing down and turns the entire station into a worst scene of chaos. The scene shifts to a senior police officer who is interrogating a thief over a recent gold robbery. The thief shows exactly how he pulled it off, only to be beaten by the officers in anger. But soon, it is turned out that the officers were also involved and masterminds behind the theft. He corruptly uses local thieves to rob wealthy homes, gives them a share of the money, and later stages fake arrests to cover up the matter. Soon after, Inspector Varda arrives at the station and is shocked by the chaotic scene. A junior officer calls Maharaja mentally unstable and urges Varda to ignore him, but instead, Varda takes him to his cabin. There, Maharaja recounts everything: his life with Jyothi, how they named the dustbin Lakshmi, and details of the theft. Though his repetitive story irritates the officers, he mentions one key detail: one thief had an ear-sized wound on his back. After Maharaja finishes up, the inspector stares at him in disbelief. He can't believe someone is reporting a stolen dustbin. Furious, he lashes out at Maharaja and orders him to leave the station, but when Maharaja refuses to back down and keeps insisting that Lakshmi must be found, Varda and the entire staff forcibly throw him out of the station. Pointing a gun at him, Varda warns him never to come back again, and this time, Maharaja quietly walks away. Everyone breathes a sigh of relief after Maharaja leaves, until he comes back again and offers a sum of money to the inspector. Enraged, the inspector slaps him hard. A constable quickly pulls Maharaja aside and takes the money on Varda's behalf. He warns Maharaja never to openly bribe Varda and assures him that Varda will now try to find Lakshmi. In the next scene, Varda and his team inspect Maharaja's house, which clearly shows signs of a violent robbery, but they find no clue for the dustbin. Varda suggests he forget about it and buy a new one. Then Maharaja shows his bank passbook, offering a large sum to find Lakshmi's. This makes Varda suspicious, and he begins to wonder if the dustbin holds gold or something valuable. Noticing Maharaja's nervous behavior, Varda's assistant suspects the case is more than a missing dustbin. Despite pressure, Maharaja insists Lakshmi is just a dustbin that saved his daughter's life. Tempted by the large reward, Varda agrees to find it at any cost, promising to return it in exchange for the money. The movie flashes back to 15 years ago, where a man named Selvam and his friend Sabri are introduced. They are peacefully enjoying their dinner, but it soon turns out that they are ruthless local thieves who frequently break into luxury homes. They tie up families, steal valuables, and often cross moral lines when Sabri's intentions turn vile. He abuses young women and drags them inside to satisfy his filthy desires, while Selvam waits outside, collecting other smaller items. Despite his theft world, Selvam runs an electrical shop with Sabri and maintains a normal family life. He deeply loves his wife and young daughter, committing every theft only to provide for them and fulfill his daughter's every wish, even gifting her the smaller items he steals. Back into the present, Maharaja stops working at his salon and spends nearly all his time at the police station, hoping Varda will find Lakshmi, but instead, the officers take advantage of him for their personal work, ordering food and household items with his money. Maharaja quietly obeys every command without complaint, bringing them tea, cleaning their vehicles, and running errands like a servant. One day, a constable tells him that he's wasting his time and money, as the officers are unlikely to find Lakshmi. His words prove true as Varda and his men wander from shop to shop, searching for a dustbin that looks just like Lakshmi. After failing to find it, they plan to buy another one that looks exactly like Lakshmi, but despite all their effort, not a single shop has a dustbin that matches Lakshmi. 15 years ago, Selvam continued his string of robberies, breaking into one house after another, but when he is at his home, he's a completely different man, a loving father who gently tends to his daughter's shoulder wound, cleaning and bandaging it with care. Back into the present, one of Varda's officers visits a local shop one day, searching for a dustbin identical to Lakshmi. Frustrated after finding none, he unexpectedly runs into Shivam, a local police informant. Seeing an opportunity, the officer brings Shivam on board to help him find a dustbin identical to Lakshmi's. At the station, the officers continue to exploit Maharaja for their personal work. They even slap and beat him over minor mistakes, and he quietly endures every insult without protest. Yet something seems strange that Maharaja often finds excuses to get close to certain officers, subtly trying to check their backs, just as he once told Varda that one of the thieves had a wound on his back the size of an ear. Later that day, a man arrives at the station to file a missing persons complaint for Donna. He sits beside Maharaja, holding Donna's photo. The picture triggers Maharaja's memory of the night of the robbery, when he found a toll receipt from a car left behind in his house, a clue that could lead him to the thieves. Following the lead, Maharaja tracks down the vehicle and reaches a pub where Matthew is drinking with his friends. Before he can confront him, Donna suddenly storms in and brutally attacks Matthew and his men. It's then revealed that Maharaja was present that night, witnessing Donna's violent assault, and in that moment, he realizes that Donna was using Matthew's car and is one of the thieves who broke into his house. Maharaja begins following Donna and eventually tracks him to an abandoned factory. As soon as he gets inside, a group of thugs ambushes him and takes him under their control. They turn out to be Donna's men, and he got alert earlier after spotting Maharaja at the pub. Cornered and furious, Dana admitted with cold regret that he should have killed Maharaja the night of the robbery. He orders his men to finish him off, and as one of them raises a cleaver to cut off Maharaja's arm, Maharaja suddenly unleashes his hidden strength and the attack backfires, leaving Dana stunned by the sheer power. Maharaja then pulls out a knife and starts attacking the goons one by one. Consumed by a fit of extreme rage, he tears through them from head to toe, brutally finishing each one without mercy. Seeing his men in trouble, Dana charges forward to take down Maharaja, but he explodes on him in fury, grabbing his neck like a wild beast and desperate to kill him. After wiping out the remaining goons, he turns his full rage toward Dana, relentlessly beating him until he's left in an unresponsive state. Maharaja demands that Dana reveal the names of the remaining 2 robbers. Writhing in pain, Dana finally admits that one of his partners works at the local police station, but just as he's about to reveal more, he suddenly stabs Maharaja with a sharp object and sprints toward his bike to escape. Consumed by rage, Maharaja seizes a cleaver and beheads Dana before he can get away. Standing over his body, Maharaja vows to hunt down the remaining robbers and make them suffer a painful end. Back at the station, everything makes sense, and now becomes clear why Maharaja had stayed in the station all the time, quietly checking every officer's back one by one. He even kept a secret list, marking off each name that didn't bear the ear-sized wound he was searching for. On the other hand, Shivam and another officer scour the entire market for a dustbin identical to Lakshmi's but find nothing. Left with no choice, they decide to create a replica of it. Soon, they meet a local craftsman who confidently assures them that he can create an exact replica of Lakshmi. The movie flashes back to 15 years ago again. Selvam is at a jewelry shop searching for the perfect locket for his daughter's upcoming birthday. He sets his eyes on an expensive one, and though his wife urges him not to buy it, Selvam's love for his daughter outweighs everything, and he orders it anyway. That night, Selvam's wife expresses her worry that they can't afford such an expensive locket right now, but Selvam gently dismisses her concern, saying he would do anything for his daughter's happiness. However, what she doesn't know is that Selvam has been funding their life through his secret robberies. 2 days pass, and it's Selvam's daughter's birthday. The house is buzzing with celebration preparations when his wife calls, reminding him to pick up the locket from the jeweler and strictly warns him to get his beard trimmed before coming home. Selvam first stops by the jeweler's store and finally collects the precious locket for her daughter. Then he heads to the market for other items. While searching for a salon to tidy his beard, he walks into the Maharaja's salon. As Maharaja begins to trim, the trimming machine abruptly shut down and Maharaja excuses himself to buy new blades for it. While he's gone, Selvam receives a call from Sabri, who nervously tells him about a news article featuring his and Selvam's photos, along with a headline exposing their latest robbery. As Sabri expresses his fear, Maharaja suddenly returns and Selvam left startled, thinking Maharaja might have overheard their conversation. However, Maharaja calmly begins trimming Selvam's beard, and Selvam gradually relaxes, assuming everything is fine. When the shave is done, Selvam tries to pay extra, but Maharaja firmly accepts only the exact amount owed. Afterward, Selvam returns home and joins Sabri and his wife in preparing for the celebration. After handing over the items he bought from the market, Selvam quietly pulls Sabri aside, explaining that they need to go underground for a while and stop committing robberies. Just then, Selvam's wife calls out, saying the locket isn't in the bag. The couple searches frantically but can't find it, realizing he must have left it at the salon. Meanwhile, Maharaja spots the locket and decides to return it himself. Selvam decides to take the locket and steps outside his house, only to find Maharaja walking toward him with the police force behind him. Selvam assumes Maharaja has brought the police to arrest him, but in reality, Maharaja is only there to return the locket. Before he can run, the officers seize Selvam and begin beating him brutally. Chaos erupts as everyone watches in shock, and the police expose all of Selvam and Sabri's crimes, the string of robberies and the abuse of innocent girls. Selvam's wife stands frozen, devastated by the unexpected revelation. Seeing a chance, Sabri suddenly points his gun at the police. Selvam tries to stop him, but Sabri doesn't listen. In panic, he accidentally fires at one of the officers, and in return, the police shoot him multiple times and kill him on the spot. After that, the officers arrest Selvam and begin taking him away. Selvam pleads to meet his daughter one last time, but his wife coldly refuses. Through her tears, she tells the officers to take him away, saying she never allows even his shadow to fall upon her daughter. Heartbroken and humiliated, Selvam is dragged away by the police. As he's taken away, he glares at Maharaja with burning revenge-seeking eyes. Back in the present, the craftsman finally completes a new dustbin identical to Lakshmi. However, something about it still feels off, that it doesn't carry the old Brocken vibe. Shivam steps in and makes a few final adjustments, and manages to make it look exactly like the old one, filling Inspector Varda with joy and relief. Now the problem is that they need a thief to confess to stealing the dustbin so that the replacement appears legitimate. The inspector calls several local criminals, but no one wants to admit to such a petty theft. Frustrated, he orders a constable to find someone by tomorrow morning and even offers a reward. Hearing this, Shivam wants to do this job and effortlessly act like the real theft. The inspector then instructs one of his officers to bring in Maharaja and have him recount the entire incident in detail. Varda puts the call on speaker so that Shivam can listen carefully and later act according to the story as Maharaja describes it. Maharaja begins recounting the story, and the movies reveals that the incident he had been describing all along didn't happen to him but to his daughter. He recalls that after closing his shop that night, he went out to buy a new pair of shoes for his daughter, who was returning home from her sports camp. She enters the house and begins changing her clothes, unaware that Donna, Shivam, and Selvam are already hiding in the room, watching her with vile intentions. Suddenly, Donna makes a noise by mistake, prompting Shivam to attack and grab Jyothi from behind. In the midst of the struggle, Selvam steps in and brutally attacks Jyothi with an iron rod. Driven by his 15-year-old revenge against Maharaja, he unleashes on Jyothi like a wild beast. After that, Selvam and his friends anxiously wait for Maharaja. During that time, Shivam goes inside the room and brutally abuses Jyothi 2 times to fulfill his filthy satisfaction, while Donna and Selvam wait outside. When Shivam finally comes out, they stay for a while longer, expecting Maharaja to arrive, but as time passes and he doesn't show up, Selvam tells his friends to leave, saying they'll deal with Maharaja another time, and before leaving, he takes Lakshmi with him. In front of the officers, Maharaja doesn't reveal the truth and instead repeats the same old version of his story, but as he finishes, his eyes well up with tears. Now we realize that searching for Lakshmi was never the real goal. The real mission was to find the culprit. Listening closely, Shivam suddenly realizes that Maharaja is actually talking about him and Selvam. Panicking, he excuses himself and calls Selvam. He tells Selvam everything, and Selvam instructs him to leave the place immediately and disappear for some time. Maharaja leaves the station, haunted by the memory of that night. When he returned home after buying the shoes, he found Jyothi lying in a critical condition and immediately took Jyothi to the hospital. After some time, he returned home and, overcome with unbearable grief, he lost his control and struck himself on the ear in anguish, collapsing unconscious on the floor. A few days later, Maharaja moves Jyothi to his boss's house, where she's cared for tenderly by teacher Ashifa and the boss's wife. As Jyothi slowly begins to speak again, she reveals that one of the attackers had a wound on his back the size of an ear. Deeply moved and enraged, Maharaja's boss urges him to take revenge and punish those men without mercy, no matter how brutal it has to be. Meanwhile, Shivam asks Varda for permission to go home, promising to return early the next morning. However, Varda, not wanting to take any chances, and orders him to stay the night at his house along with the junior officer. The next morning, Inspector Varda and the officer take Shivam to the Maharaja's house. Inside, they hand over the dustbin to him, telling him that Shivam was the one who stole it and reminding Maharaja about the reward he promised. Varda then signals Shivam to start his act, and he first apologizes to Maharaja, saying he and his friends broke into the house intending to rob it but found nothing valuable, so he took the dustbin instead. Suspicious, Maharaja moves closer and checks his back, only to find the ear-shaped wound Jyothi had mentioned. After finding the real culprit, Maharaja tells Varda to release Shivam, saying he's ready to forgive him, but Varda keeps urging him to take revenge. When Maharaja refuses, Varda stuns him by asking why he'd spare the man who abused his daughter. It's then revealed that Varda and the other officer already knew what had happened to Maharaja and his daughter that night, and that's why Varda had insisted Shivam stay last night at his home last night. When the truth comes out, Officer beats Shivam and Varda hands Maharaja a cleaver, instructing him to punish Shivam as brutally as possible. The inspector steps outside with the other officers, leaving them alone inside. Consumed by uncontrollable rage, Maharaja lashes out at Shivam, delivering lethal strikes from head to toe with fierce intensity. With fierce intensity in his eyes, Maharaja grabs Shivam and mercilessly severs his head from his body. Afterward, Selvam is shown working as a building contractor, buying materials for the site. Suddenly, he receives a call from one of his workers telling him that Maharaja burst into the building, brutally beating everyone at the site and is asking for him. Without wasting time, Selvam rushes to the location, only to witness Maharaja mercilessly finishing off his workers. Seeing Selvam, Maharaja freezes in shock and instantly recalls the day Selvam was arrested. Selvam lashes out at him, delivering brutal strikes, and Maharaja, left frozen in shock, endures his attack with grief as he realizes Selvam is the main culprit. Overcome with rage, Maharaja charges at Selvam like a furious storm, delivering powerful punches, striking his head with a shovel, breaking his ribs, and relentlessly beating him throughout the building. In the end, Maharaja lifts a heavy rock and smashes it onto Selvam's leg, causing him to scream in unbearable pain. Afterwards, Maharaja gives Selvam some water and sits calmly in front of him, watching with weary eyes, reflecting on what Selvam has done in his blind pursuit of revenge. But Selvam merely smiles, saying he feels truly relieved after taking his revenge and carries no guilt for it. Just then, Jyothi arrives at the scene with Ashifa. Seeing her, Maharaja comforts her and urges her to leave, but Jyothi insists on meeting Selvam. Maharaja refuses, yet she remains determined to face the culprit. Jyothi hands him a piece of jewelry he had intended to steal that night, saying she only came to see that vile people like him exist in the world. However, Selvam simply smiles at her without any guilt. Before leaving, Jyothi says he has achieved nothing by doing this to her, as she is strong enough to live. She adds that by coming here, she has spared Selvam's life, otherwise her father would have killed him today. As Jyothi leaves with Maharaja, he notices the same locket he had bought for her daughter and sees the same scar on Jyothi's shoulder, the one his daughter bears. A flashback then shows Maharaja visiting Selvam's wife the day after Selvam's arrest. He returns the locket to her, but she refuses it, declaring she wants nothing of her husband anymore. Seeing Selvam's daughter crying, Maharaja's wife asks him to buy a toy for her. This leads back to the opening scene of the movie, when the truck crashes into the house and it is revealed that everyone was killed in the accident except Selvam's daughter, who survives thanks to Lakshmi. From that day on, Maharaja raised Selvam's daughter as his own. Realizing that Jyothi is his daughter, Selvam is overcome with grief. He cries out, begging her to stop and calling her by name, but Maharaja quickly sends her away with Ashifa. Turning back to Selvam, Maharaja warns him never to contact her again, declaring that she is now his daughter. Selvam continues to plead, desperate to see her, but Maharaja departs with Jyothi, leaving Selvam heartbroken and crying. In anguish, Selvam prays for forgiveness and reaches out for his daughter, but in his desperate pursuit, his foot slips and he falls from the building and dies instantly. With both fathers' vengeance fulfilled for their daughters, the movie concludes with Selvam's end. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. Additionally, if you love Indian movies, you're in the right place as we bring the best explanations for global audiences. Before you go, drop your favorite Indian movie in the comments for us to explain next, and also check out more of our content.